How to speak with calm authority, Stoic philosophy. There is a kind of person who walks into a room, and without raising their voice, without demanding attention, without trying to impress anyone, they are felt. People notice them. People listen when they speak. And strangely, they do not speak much at all. They are calm, measured, still, and because of that, they carry something most people spend their whole lives chasing: authority. Not authority given by a title. Not authority forced through aggression. Not authority borrowed from money, status, or noise. But the rarest kind of authority. The kind that comes from inner control. In today's world, most people think power is loud. They think confidence means speaking fast, talking more, explaining yourself, defending yourself, winning every argument, having the last word. But the Stoics knew something different. They understood that the person who cannot control their tongue, cannot control their mind. And the person who cannot control their mind, can never command respect for long. Because true authority is not in volume. It is in presence. It is in the ability to remain composed when others become emotional. To stay steady when others become reactive. To speak clearly when everyone else is desperate to be heard. And that is what makes people powerful. In this video, you will learn the Stoic art of speaking with calm authority. Not how to sound impressive, but how to become the kind of person whose words naturally carry weight. The kind of person who doesn't beg to be respected. Because their calm already demands it. If you master what you are about to hear, you will stop chasing validation. You will stop overexplaining. You will stop speaking from nervous energy. And when you do speak, people will feel it. So if you're ready, take a breath. Sit still, and listen carefully, because this may change the way you speak forever. Welcome to Stoic Pulse. Why calm authority is rare. Most people do not speak. They react. That is the first truth. What they call communication is often just emotional leakage. They speak because they are uncomfortable with silence. They speak because they fear being misunderstood. They speak because they want to prove themselves. They speak because they need to be liked. They speak because they are afraid of being ignored. And so their words become crowded, with anxiety, with urgency, with invisible need. And people can feel it even if they don't consciously understand it. They feel it. That is why some people talk for 10 minutes, and leave no impact. While another person says one sentence, and changes the entire atmosphere. Because words are never just words. They carry the energy of the person speaking them. A fearful mind produces shaky language. A needy heart produces defensive speech. A restless spirit produces rushed explanations. But a disciplined mind produces calm authority. This is why Stoicism is not merely a philosophy of ideas. It is a philosophy of presence. Marcus Aurelius was not trying to become a better debater. He was trying to become a ruler of himself. Epictetus did not teach students how to sound intelligent. He taught them how to stop being slaves to emotion. Seneca did not praise eloquence without discipline. He warned against speech that is inflated by ego and uncontrolled desire. The Stoics understood this. If your inner world is chaotic, your voice will reveal it. You can memorize clever phrases. You can copy body language. You can practice confidence hacks. But if inside you are still desperate, afraid, reactive, people will hear it in your rhythm. They will hear it in your speed. They will hear it in your tone. They will hear it in how quickly you interrupt silence. This is why so many people speak, yet very few command respect. Because respect does not come from talking more. It comes from needing less. The less you need approval, the calmer you become. The less you fear rejection, the steadier your tone becomes. The less you crave control over how others see you, the more naturally powerful your presence becomes. This is one of the deepest Stoic paradoxes. The moment you stop trying to force respect, you become respectable. Think about the people who seem powerful in conversation. Not the loud ones, not the show-offs, not the ones always trying to dominate. The truly powerful ones, what do they all have in common? They are not rushed. They do not seem afraid. They are comfortable with silence. They do not explain themselves unnecessarily. They don't panic when challenged. They don't react to every provocation. And because of that, their words feel expensive, rare, precise, intentional. That is calm authority. And in a world addicted to noise, it is magnetic. But here is the deeper reason it is rare. Most people have never learned to separate stimulus from response. Someone disrespects them, they instantly react. Someone questions them, they instantly defend. Someone misunderstands them, they instantly overexplain. Someone criticizes them, they instantly become emotional. This is not power, this is dependency. It means your nervous system is being controlled by the behavior of others. And if others can control your emotional state, they control your speech. And if they control your speech, they control your image. And if they control your image, they control your influence. The Stoic refuses this. The Stoic understands. No one gets to pull words out of me that I do not choose. That is strength. That is discipline. That is freedom. And that freedom can be heard when a person is no longer internally chained to the opinions, moods, or provocations of others. Their speech changes. They slow down. They become deliberate. Their tone loses desperation. Their sentences become cleaner. Their silence becomes stronger. And suddenly, people listen. Not because they are trying to sound powerful, but because they no longer sound afraid. That is what most people miss. Calm authority is not a speaking technique. It is the audible result of inner mastery. If your mind is frantic, your speech will betray you. If your ego is fragile, your voice will expose you. If your emotions are undisciplined, your language will leak it. So before you try to sound more confident, understand this. The voice is only the messenger. The mind is the source. And that is why, before we talk about words, we must talk about the state behind the words. Because the Stoic does not start with speech. He starts with self-command. Why does calm speech feel powerful? Why do people naturally trust someone who is composed? Why does a steady voice often silence a louder one? Because the human mind is always scanning for one thing: certainty. When someone speaks with emotional turbulence, your nervous system detects instability. Even if their words are logical, their energy feels uncertain. When someone speaks too fast, too much, too defensively, too emotionally, the mind of the listener senses pressure. And pressure creates doubt. But when someone speaks slowly, clearly, without urgency, without visible fear, the mind reads that as internal order. And internal order signals strength. This is ancient. Before titles, before degrees, before social media, before modern status games, humans learned to read survival through behavior. The calm one in the storm, the steady one in danger, the grounded one under pressure. That person was often the safest to follow. This instinct still lives in us. That is why a calm person can dominate a chaotic room. Not through force, but through nervous system contrast. Everyone else is agitated. They are not. Everyone else is rushing. They are not. Everyone else is speaking to be accepted. They are speaking from conviction. And the contrast creates authority. This is why one of the most dangerous habits in communication is emotional urgency. Emotional urgency sounds like, "Wait, let me explain. No, that's not what I meant. You don't understand. That's not fair. Listen, I'm telling you. I just need you to know." Notice the energy. It is grasping. It is chasing. It is trying to regain control through speed. But the Stoic understands something ruthless. The more urgently you try to control perception, the weaker you appear. Calm authority does the opposite. It does not chase. It does not scramble. It does not beg for understanding. It speaks from center, and if misunderstood, it remains centered. This does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean becoming robotic. It does not mean becoming silent all the time. It means that your words no longer come from panic. They come from principle. That difference is everything. Marcus Aurelius wrote often about ruling the inner citadel, that invisible fortress within the mind. A place where no insult can enter without your permission. No praise can intoxicate you. No fear can force you to betray yourself. When you speak from that place, your voice changes. You stop sounding like someone trying to survive the moment. You start sounding like someone who belongs in it. That is calm power. And here is something most people never realize. Tone often matters more than content. A weak truth delivered nervously can be ignored. A simple statement delivered with steadiness can become unforgettable. You do not need complicated language. You do not need a huge vocabulary. You do not need theatrical charisma. You need congruence. Your body, your breath, your eyes, your timing, your tone, your words, all aligned. This is why the Stoic trains not only thought, but physiology. If your breathing is shallow, your speech becomes rushed. If your shoulders are tense, your voice tightens. If your jaw is clenched, your tone hardens. If your mind is scattered, your sentences become cluttered. Calm authority begins before language. It begins in the body. This is why powerful speakers often appear slower than everyone else. Not because they are trying to perform power, but because their nervous system is not hijacked. They are present. They are not mentally sprinting ahead. They are not rehearsing while listening. They are not fearing judgment in real time. They are here. And presence is persuasive. Most people listen only enough to prepare their next defense. The Stoic listens to understand. And because he listens fully, when he speaks, he wastes nothing. That is another secret of calm authority. People trust the person who is not trying too hard. Trying too hard creates static. It creates over-talking, over-qualifying, over-explaining, over-proving, over-correcting, and every over weakens impact. The Stoic aims for the opposite. Less force, more weight, less noise, more precision. Less reaction, more control. This is not just useful in philosophy. It changes everything. Your relationships, your arguments, your leadership, your interviews, your boundaries, your business conversations, your family tensions, your public image. Because in every human interaction, there is a silent question being asked. Can this person remain steady under pressure? If the answer is yes, people feel your authority. If the answer is no, they may hear your words, but they won't trust your power. So now, let us move into the practical laws. The Stoic rules that transform a restless voice into a respected one. The habits that make people stop interrupting you. The principles that make your words land harder. The inner disciplines that make you impossible to shake. Because from this point on, we are no longer discussing theory. We are building the voice of a person who no longer needs to be loud to be heard. Lower emotional urgency. There is a hidden poison in the way most people communicate. And it destroys respect without them even realizing it. That poison is urgency. Not practical urgency, not real danger, but emotional urgency. The feeling that you must be understood right now. That you must correct the misunderstanding immediately. That you must defend your image before anyone thinks the wrong thing. That you must prove your point before the other person walks away. This kind of urgency makes people speak badly. It makes them overexplain. It makes them repeat themselves. It makes them sound needy. And neediness is the enemy of authority. The Stoic does not rush to repair every perception. He understands a difficult truth. Not every misunderstanding deserves your panic. Sometimes people misread you. Sometimes they project onto you. Sometimes they judge you unfairly. Sometimes they twist your words. And if you treat every one of these moments like an emergency, you hand your peace to strangers. You also weaken your voice. Because urgency makes language lose structure. It makes your sentences longer, your tone tighter, your energy heavier, your presence less stable. Calm authority is impossible when you are internally screaming, "Please understand me." The Stoic replaces this with a stronger mindset. I will speak clearly. I will remain composed. And I will not abandon myself to control what is not mine. That last part matters. Other people's interpretations are not fully yours. You can influence them. You cannot own them. And the moment you accept that, your speech becomes cleaner. Because you stop trying to force outcomes through words. You start speaking from truth, not fear. Speak only when necessary. One of the clearest signs of insecurity is the inability to stop talking. Most people don't realize this. They think talking more makes them seem smarter, more convincing, more interesting, more dominant, but often, it does the opposite. It reveals nervousness. It reveals the need to fill silence. It reveals the fear of being forgotten. It reveals a lack of trust in one's own presence. The Stoics understood something modern people have almost completely forgotten. Not every thought deserves to become speech. That single principle can transform your life. Because the average person speaks from impulse. They say what they feel the moment they feel it. They narrate every reaction. They respond to every comment. They join every argument. They explain every emotion. They announce every opinion. And then they wonder why their words have no weight. But words lose value when they are overproduced. The more available your speech is, the less powerful it becomes. This is why silence is not weakness. Silence is scarcity. And scarcity creates value. When a person speaks all the time, people stop listening. But when a person is known for speaking only when it matters, the room shifts when they begin. That is calm authority. Seneca warned against excessive speech. Not because talking is bad, but because uncontrolled talking is often a symptom of an uncontrolled mind. If your mouth is always moving, your awareness is usually low. You are not choosing, you are leaking. And leakage is not power. Think about the strongest people you've met. Not the loudest, not the funniest, not the most dramatic, the strongest. They often share one quality. They do not waste words. When they speak, it is relevant. When they speak, it is direct. When they speak, it is considered. And when they remain silent, they are not absent. They are observing. This is where true influence begins. The Stoic does not speak to be noticed. He speaks because something useful, necessary, or truthful must be said. That standard alone would eliminate most weak communication. Before speaking, ask, is this necessary? Is this true? Is this useful? Is this the right time? Am I speaking from wisdom, or from impulse? Most people never ask these questions. That is why they end up saying things they regret. They gossip, they overshare, they complain, they argue in circles, they reveal too much to people who have not earned access. They make promises too quickly. They expose insecurity through endless explanation. And worst of all, they train others to ignore them. The Stoic refuses this. He understands. Speech is a tool, not a compulsion. That distinction is powerful. A tool is used with purpose. A compulsion uses you, and many people are being used by their own mouths. They talk because they are uncomfortable, because silence makes them feel exposed, because stillness makes them confront themselves, because without words, they have to feel their own uncertainty. But the Stoic learns to sit inside silence without needing to escape it. This gives him an advantage almost no one else has. He can hear more, notice more, understand more. He catches tone. He catches motives. He catches contradictions. He sees what emotional people miss because they are too busy preparing their next sentence. This is why silence is not passive. Silence is intelligence gathering. And in social life, the person with more information often has more power. When you speak less, three things happen. You make fewer emotional mistakes. You become a better observer of human nature. Your words gain more weight when they finally arrive. This is not about becoming mute. It is not about being socially awkward. It is not about withdrawing from life. It is about removing unnecessary speech. The weak need to be heard constantly.